What albums have you liked every single song? Story 1. I have a complete mess of genres here, but here's my list. Blizzard of Oz, Ozzy Osbourne. Siembra, Willy Colon and Rubén Blades. Lateralist Tool. 21st Century Blood, The Warning. Pies Descalzos, Shakira. Also Donde Están los Ladrones. Old Shakira just hits different. Zoe Unplugged. Rai Cafe Takva. Fragile, yes. 2112 Rush. Fever You Can't Sweat Out, Panic at the Disco. Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park. A Night at the Opera Queen. Abbey Road, The Beatles. Story 2. Chronic 2001 Dr. Dre. The infamous Mobb Deep. Black Sunday Cypress Hill. Illmatic Nas. Reasonable Doubt Jay-Z. I'm sure there are more, but these are just what come to mind. Story 3. Both Dirt and Jar of Flies from Alice in Chains. To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. Diamond Eyes by Deftones. Blonde by Frank Ocean. Demon Days by Gorillaz. Love Deluxe by Sod. Enema by Tool. This was every album that fit this category in my Spotify library, so there might be more. Story 4. Issues Corn, my all-time favorite album. Vulgar display of power and far beyond Driven Pantera. Come Clarity in Flames. White Pony Deftones. Ashes of the Wake and Sacrament Lamb of God. Invaders Must Die, The Prodigy underrated album in my humble opinion. I love this album. Hybrid Theory and Meteora Linkin Park. The Eminem Show Eminem. 2001 Dr. Dre. 1X, 3 Days Grace. This album is my teenage years. Loved it then and still love it now at 29. We Are Not Alone, Breaking Benjamin. Story 5. Not at all a hard rock guy, but Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age kicks ass. For a completely different genre or vibe, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was a masterpiece despite Kanye's views. Story 6. Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. This Type of Thinking Could Do Us In by Chevelle. American Idiot by Green Day. One Day Remains by Alter Bridge. The Autumn Effect by 10 Years. And 1X by 3 Days Grace are all albums that are more or less examples of albums that are a masterpiece in my opinion. Story 7. Incubus Morning View. Coheed and Cambria in Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. The Gaslight Anthem. The 59 Sound. Explosions in the Sky. The Earth is Not a Cold Dead Place. The National Boxer. Manchester Orchestra, A Black Mile to the Surface. Story 8. The Clash London Calling. Jason Isbell Southeastern. Prince Purple Rain. Marvin Gaye What's Going On. Bob Dylan Blood on the Tracks. Story 9. My Chemical Romance Welcome to the Black Parade. Highly Suspect Mr. Asylum. Royal Blood. Linkin Park Hybrid Theory. Peach Pit Being So Normal. Metallica Ride the Lightning Master of Puppets. J. Cole 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Story 10. Oh man, so many. The Mars Volta Deloused in the Comatorium. Pavement Crooked Rain. Visevifav Ush. Death Cab for Cutie Something About Airplanes. CHK Myth Takes. Radiohead Kid A. System of a Down Toxicity. The Wu-Tang Clan. Enter the Wu-Tang. 36 Chambers. Beck Odelay. Run the Jewels 4. Anyone recognize anything? Maybe introduced something to someone? Story 11. Daft Punk Discovery. I remember when I was a kid staying up late. I discovered Interstellar 5555 on Toonami. I instantly fell in love with the Discovery album. Each time I hear it, it brings back that nostalgia. Kendrick Lamar Good Kid, Mad City. I used to not care for the voice messages, but they grew on me because they tie the album together. Story 12. Define the Great Line Under Oath. Bon hiver. Coward Haste the Day. Breakfast in America Supertramp. Headroom Men I Trust. The Shape of Punk to Come Refused. The number one favorite spot changes like the seasons do, but the above are always high up on the list. Story 13. 9 Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral. Santana, Abraxas. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Stadium Arcadium, which is notable because it's 28 songs and 2 hours. Daft Punk Discovery. Gorillaz Demon Days. Queens of the Stone Age Songs for the Deaf. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Story 14. Rich, wild shame, simplistic secret of longing, distinct reach, expansion, rhythm. This post was mass deleted and anonymized with redact. Story 15. 10,000 Days by Tool. Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Cannot and will not choose between the two. There are many more, but these two always come out on top. Story 16. System of a Down. Steal This Album. The Acacia Strain, The Dead Walk. Metallica, Ride the Lightning. Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf. Baroness, The Blue Record. 07 Simple Things. Tyler Childers, Country Squire. Laserhawk, Skull and Shark. Heilung, Leva. Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense. After the Burial, Rare Form. For the Fallen Dreams, Changes. Too Many to Pick. Story 17. I have very diverse music taste. The Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd. Queens of the Stone Age, Queens of the Stone Age. Siamese Dream, The Smashing Pumpkins. Axis Bold as Love, Jimi Hendrix. Are You Experienced, Jimi Hendrix. Songs for the Deaf, Queens of the Stone Age. Parisia, Animals as Leaders. 40 Ounces to Freedom, Sublime. Sublime, Sublime. Robin the Hood, Sublime. Punta Fish. Nevermind, Nirvana. Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin for Led Zeppelin. Music 311. Grassroots 311. Evil Empire, Rage Against the Machine. Undertow, Tool. Dirt, Alice in Chains. Felt. Paranoid, Black Sabbath. Abbey Road, The Beatles. Kill 'Em All, Metallica. The Low End Theory, A Tribe Called Quest. Death by Television, The Lillingtons. Golem Wand. Black Holes and Revelations, Muse. Story 18. Dance of Death by Iron Maiden. Very few albums have so many good songs. Linkin Park's albums are also a guilty pleasure, but they can really make you feel angst and depressed. Story 19. Blood on the Tracks, Bob Dylan. Is This It? The Strokes. Mezzanine, Massive Attack. Dixie Chicken, Little Feat. John Prine. Contra Vampire Weekend. Story 20. Darude, Before the Storm. Papa Roach, The Paramore Sessions. Razorblade Romance. Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory. Mindle Beach Markets. Small Canadian band from British Columbia. Amazing chill music, highly recommend. Story 21. No absolute favorite, so The Grey Album. Danger Mouse. Look this up if you are unfamiliar. Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette. Deadwing, Porcupine Tree. Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Damien Rice, Live at Fingerprints. Nirvana, Nevermind. This Is Happening, Liquid Crystal Demonstration Sound System. Radiohead, Kid A. Radiohead, In Rainbows. Story 22. Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland. Axis, Old as Love. The Experience were tighter than a camel's ass in a sandstorm, and every one of those songs still leaves me wondering whether Jimmy came from space or was a time traveler. Rage Against the Machine's first album. Anger is indeed a gift, and this album could drag me out of the deepest rut. William Unyeber, World Psychedelic Classics, Volume 5. Toots and the Maytals, Reggae Greats. The Wailers, Burnin'. They Might Be Giants, Lincoln. The Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. Thin Lizzy, Jailbreak. Radiohead, OK Computer. Story 23. Bad Brains, 1982. Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks, 1975. Cannonball Adderley, Something Else, 1958. Carole King, Tapestry, 1971. Cigarettes After Sex, 2017. Dave Brubeck, Time Out, 1959. David Bowie, Station to Station, 1976. The Doors, An American Prayer, 1978. Ellis Regina, Antonio Carlos Jobim Ellis and Tom, 1974. Elliott Smith, Figure 8, 2000. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors, 1977. Jeff Buckley, Grace, 1994. John Coltrane, A Love Supreme, 1965. Lee Morgan, The Sidewinder. Milton Nascimento, Lo Borges, Clube da Esquina, 1972. Nora Jones, Come Away With Me, 2002. Pearl Jam versus 1993. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here 1975. Radiohead, Kid A 2000. Radiohead, OK Computer 1997. Red House Painters, Down Colorful Hill 1992. Sigur Rós, Ágætis byrjun 1999. Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water 1970. The Sound, From the Lion's Mouth 1981. The Velvet Underground 1969. Story 24. Rage Against the Machine, Rage Against the Machine. Metallica, Master of Puppets. Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. Portugal, The Man, Evil Friends. Alice in Chains, Facelift. Radiohead, The Bends. Story 25. A Man and His Soul by Ray Charles. The Richest Man in Babylon by Thievery Corporation. Chemical Chords by Stereolab. Together Again, live by B.B. King and Bobby Bland. Sheryl Crow, self-titled. Garbage, version 2.0, Strange Little Birds by Garbage. Truth, Blow by Jeff Beck. Led Zeppelin, self-titled. Get Your Yayas Out, Let It Bleed, Tattoo You by the Rolling Stones. Story 26. Kasabian. What's the Story, Morning Glory, Oasis. Hopes and Fears, Keen. The Specials. Bridge Over Troubled Water, Simon and Garfunkel. Rumors, Fleetwood Mac. Oh God, I could be here all day, haha. Story 27. Mental Jewelry and Throwing Copper, live. Master of Puppets, Metallica. Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses. Photographs and Memories, Jim Croce. Third Stage, Boston. Ill Communication, Beastie Boys. And Headless Children, Wasp. Story 28. Disgusting by Beartooth. The album came out when I was first paralyzed, and it felt like every song was a reflection of my mental state during that point in my life. It helped me through some rough times. Story 29. This is my road trip album. Put it on at the beginning of a long journey. Still have the same CD that I bought in 1999. Know every song by heart. And if you are road tripping with me, it is a concert until this album is over. Story 30. Eagles. For Eagles, Hotel California. For Eagles, The Long Run. For Eagles, Desperado. For Eagles, On the Border. For Eagles, One of These Nights. So, all the Eagles albums. I love Eagles. Story 31. Criminal lack of representation for metal, so I'm here to rectify that. Trivium Shogun. Avenged Sevenfold City of Evil. Machine Head Unto the Locust. Twilight Force, Tales of Ancient Prophecies. Timeless Miracle, Into the Enchanted Chamber. Lorna Shore, Pain Remains. Dragoni, Masters of the Multiverse. Dragoni, Shadowplay. Metallica and Justice for All. Story 32. Tyranny and Mutation by Blue Oyster Cult. Animals by Pink Floyd. Rubber Soul by the Beatles. Boston's first album. Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult. Disraeli Gears by Cream. Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie. Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin. Tarkus by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Story 33. Can't list every album I feel this way about, but I'll list what's on my current rotation. Crosses. 2014. Slipknot. Self-titled. Bad Omens, The Death of Peace of Mind. Story 34. The Darkness, Permission to Land. There are some weaker songs on it for sure, but there's not a single bad or skippable song on it. Highlights include Black Shuck, Love on the Rocks, Growing on Me, Holding My Own, and my personal favorite, I Believe in a Thing Called Love. That album is one of my all-time favorites. Story 35. I know System of a Down's Toxicity is more popular, but Mesmerize introduced me to the band and was the first album I ever enjoyed listening to from start to finish. Story 36. Black Sabbath. Iron Maiden. The Stooges. The Doors, L.A. Woman. Creedence Clearwater Revival, Cosmos Factory. Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle. Lynyrd Skynyrd, pronounced Lane Nerd Skin Nerd. The Eagles, Hotel California. Some of my favorite albums. Story 37. I try to listen to all albums from intro to outro because I feel like the artist meant something by placing the songs in that particular order. Unless there are some passages meant to troll the listener. The ending of the last song on Route Black Seal is an obscure example I know, but that's just what I listen to. Story 38. Korn's self-titled album, Deftones' Adrenaline, Sublime's self-titled album, Slipknot's self-titled album, Iowa. All Hope Is Gone. Coal Chamber's self-titled album, every Static X album. Shall I Continue? Story 39, Beatles' Revolver. The Cure, Disintegration. Human League, Dare. Rancid, Out Come the Wolves. Under Oath, Chasing Safety. The Clash, London Calling. The Strokes, Is This It? Story 40. U2, Joshua Tree and Zooropa. Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style. Metallica, Black. Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory. Prince, Purple Rain. Green Day, Dookie. Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire. Kendrick Lamar, Pimp a Butterfly. Story 41. A Spanish rock music group called Fido y Fitipaldis, and the album is Hiendo Conmigo de Mi. I've been listening to it since I was 18, always on my phone. I also love Billie Holiday's Essential Brunswick recordings. For hours of awesome music. Story 42. Listen to Pink Floyd's The Wall on LSD. Followed that trip up with a month-long deep dive into the album to learn more about it and the story it told. Story 43. This was the main album I grew up on. This was the first and possibly only tape I ever had in my first tape Walkman as a kid. I used to wake up early before school and sneak into the living room to watch my dad's Queen Greatest Flicks VHS tapes, and my favorite ones were mostly the singles from this album. My next favorite artist is Eminem, but I'm not sure there are any of his albums that I always listen to from start to finish without skipping any, possibly The Eminem Show or Relapse. I'd include the Marshall Mathers LP as well, but I just find Kim far too distressing to listen to if I'm not in the mood, whatever mood you'd have to be in to want to listen to that track. Edit. Late entry. Almost forgot about Dead Prez' Let's Get Free, another one of the best, highly underappreciated hip-hop albums of all time, in my opinion. Story 44. Breaking Benjamin, Dear Agony. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. The Game, the Documentary. Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne. Paranoid. Black Sabbath, Ronnie James Dio, Heaven and Hell. Eminem, The Slim Shady LP. Coulter Wall, Imaginary Appalachia. Gamma Ray, Land of the Free. Judas Priest, Painkiller. Sad Wings of Destiny. Screaming for Vengeance. Tupac Shakur, All Eyes on Me. John Prine. See Murder, Life or Death. Story 45. Metropolis Part 2. Scenes from a Memory. Symphony X, Twilight in Olympus. Symphony X, Divine Wings of Tragedy. Meshuggah Obson. Glassjaw. Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence. Pantera, Cowboys from Hell. Pagan Mind, Celestial Awakening. Tool, 10,000 Days. Animals as Leaders, self-titled. Story 46. August and Everything After Counting Crows. Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, The Smashing Pumpkins. Great Milenko, yeah, it's garbage, but I love it. Insane Clown Posse. Nevermind, Nirvana. Vitalogy, Pearl Jam. Audioslave. Music Television Presents, Eric Clapton, Unplugged, Eric Clapton. Enema of the State and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Blink 182. There are several others, but I need to go do things. Story 47. A lot of amazing suggestions here already. I'd add Nathan Forstein, The Search. Jack Johnson, In Between Dreams. Patrick Peachman, Feelings and Melodies. Charlotte Cardin, Phoenix. Edmund Husar, Cannon. The Glitch Mob, Drink the Sea. Lindsey Sterling, Shatter Me. Bo Burnham, Inside the Songs. I could add a few albums in French too. Here's two notable ones. Les Cowboys Fringants, La Grand-Messe. Mes aïeux, en famille.